All right, so we're talking about earth portals, energy portals, and one of the things to cover here is with any unusual geologic feature, like a shear rock wall or an angled rock wall, or if you go to a site like Machu Picchu, there are some interesting stones that are in the area that's sort of elevated above the Intihuatana and to the south. This would be away from Huayna Picchu in an area that's sort of inaccurately called the funerary area. There are some angled stones that are there. It's like these huge boulders that are either complete separate units, separate boulders, or these rock faces. And what you notice about them is that there are angles on them. Let's say the Intihuatana is over there. And you'll see these rock faces that are at 45-degree angles where they can take the energy, they come off the rock face, and then they shoot out, and you can tell that the stone is directly pointing at the Intihuatana. And you have many of these stones above and around the Machu Picchu site that are pointing straight at the Intihuatana. There are also sites that are to the northeast of the Intihuatana in sort of the unfinished area, as it's called. This would be north of the Temple of the Condor, where there's seated positions where, you know, there's like wall, and then there's a seat here that's a carved stone in the ground, and a gap between the wall where you can look and see the Intihuatana. So my point here is that these rock wall faces, which are typically part of an energy doorway or an earth portal, part of their purpose is to be a portal. Another part of the purpose, and this either may be with the portal, sort of more metaphysical energies or more physical energies, would be look at the angles of the rock faces. These rock faces, it's hard for you to see here, but in the side of the creek they kind of go up at a slight slant, and then when they get to the top there's more of a slant like this. So there's definitely a kind of an energy ray chamber effect that's being used. We talked about, you can see faces in rocks many times, especially if you go into the desert southwest, the areas, say, north of Sedona, Oak Creek Canyon. You have to get out of the campground a little bit, go hiking. You'll see many faces in rock walls. As far as experiences with these energy portals and doorways, basically you have to have an open imagination. And imagination is not a faculty that makes things up as much as a faculty that is open to different possibilities. If you don't have a good imagination, then when a piece of information comes to you, you're just going to go, oh, I just made that up, or, you know, that's impossible, or whatever. So let me just say that part of my experience with this doorway is that it is a doorway. When I connected to it, I had a sense of sort of expanding circles or spheres of information. And that's the other thing to keep in mind about energy doorways. We're talking about energetic doorways. Energy equals information equals consciousness. These things are all different ways of looking at the same phenomena. Energy, if energy is present and moving, there's consciousness there, there's intelligence there, there's information there. So anytime you have a rock face or a rock wall, even if you don't feel you have the ability to connect with it as a portal and to journey with it, or connect your mind to some other place, other dimension, or other time with it, there is energy that's there. And just by looking at it, looking at the rock face, meditating on it, clearing your mind, and just kind of getting into a reverie, that's a way for you to connect to the portal. It doesn't have to be, you know, the thing opens up and you walk through like an episode of Star Trek when they went to the planet that had the portal and they traveled back through Earth's history and all this stuff. It can be something that's very simple, very accessible. And in that way, even somebody who's not open to or awake to energy, if they just sit in front of a rock wall, or go to a sacred site and they clear their mind and they just settle down, they will get stuff, because that place that structure is alive and it contains information. These stones are record keepers because they are consciousness itself.